Hello again, everybody. Carlos Scarpero here, VA mortgage specialist with Ross Mortgage and Military Mortgage Boot Camp. Today, I have a very important lesson about minimum property requirements to buy a home using the VA mortgage program. Here at Ross Mortgage, we get tons of questions about properties, whether a certain property qualifies in terms of condition and that sort of thing. And so I want to go through a little bit about what the VA specifically says about this. Keep in mind, some lenders might have what's called overlays on top of this, but these are minimum requirements that the VA sets forth on the property conditions. And so this is a change date, October 18, 2019, and it's found in Chapter 12 of the VA Handbook if you're following along. And so I'm going to go through the basics of this. There's several areas in the minimum property requirements section. But I'm going to go through the highlights of what's most important, what you need to know. So the VA has established minimum property requirements to protect the interests of veterans, lenders, servicers, and the VA. Properties must meet these requirements prior to guarantee the loan by the VA. Common sense. And this is done by the VA appraiser. So when the property is appraised, those are the people that determine if it meets these minimum property requirements. Now, as a veteran, you can get a home inspection, but that is completely optional. If you choose to waive it, that's up to you. And so it's the home inspection is a little bit different. Home inspector digs in a little bit deeper in terms of trying to find flaws in the property. And so I recommend you get one anyway. But in terms of the VA mortgage loan and in terms of getting approval with us, it's not required. So here is the key in this section C in part 1. MPRs and minimum property requirements help ensure that the property is safe, structurally sound, and sanitary. The scope of MPRs also includes issues related to the property's location and legal considerations. So the appraiser is going to produce origination appraisals subject to the completion of any MPR repairs that may be needed and include the value of what those repairs will be. Appraisers must not prepare appraisals subject to inspection. The appraiser must recommend repairs, not inspections, for any conditions that do not appear to meet minimum property requirements. And here's a really important one. The appraiser should not recommend repairs of cosmetic items involving minor deferred maintenance or normal wear and tear in relation to the overall condition of the property. While minor repairs should be recommended, the appraiser should consider these items in the overall condition when rating the estimated market value of the property. So what does this all mean? It all sounds good, a little legal mumbo jumbo. So here's what it really means. It means the property is safe to live in and it's sanitary. So pretty much common sense says, well, if the wires are frayed and there's a fire hazard, that might not be safe. If the toilet's broken and there's pipes bursting everywhere, that might not be sanitary. Those types of things. But the VA, I've noticed in their handbook and in our training to talk about this, the VA tends to be a little more vague than other mortgage types in terms of what exactly they want. They allow a lot more common sense. And so it's safe, structurally sound, and sanitary. Now keep in mind that safe, structurally sound, and sanitary is not always the same in every person. And so a lot of this is an appraiser call. But also keep in mind that we can try to override that. So if they say something is unsafe and unsanitary, there actually are ways to appeal it directly to the VA and say, well, it actually is safe and sanitary because this and this and this. And the VA actually does listen to that. So keep that in mind as well. So what happens after this? So there are a few options. One is the seller can fix it before closing. The second option is you can do what's called a repair escrow. And so what that does is you set aside a little bit of money at closing and repair that post-closing. And typically that's done when there's not time available, or maybe so for example, if there's snow on the ground and the guy can't get in there to fix the item, they will allow you to wait a little bit to get a repair escrow. Not a lot of time, but a little bit of time. Finally, the other option is you can do what's called a renovation loan. So especially if the borrower decides, well, we're just going to repair it ourselves. We're not going to have the seller fix it for us. We at Ross Mortgage offer the VA renovation product. And so that's the other way to do it, is just do a renovation loan add those repairs onto the property value. And so this comes into play, especially in foreclosures where it's an as-is sale, getting a great deal, and you want to make it inhabitable. You can do a renovation loan and add that property on top of the property value and do a loan for that extra amount of repair plus the value of the home. So for that full amount with no down payment, you can do a VA rental loan. And so it's a great way to get into some properties that might be a little bit less than safe, sound, and sanitary. So that is VA minimum property requirements. And so the lesson here is don't freak out about these property requirements. That it's really just common sense. But if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My number is 937-572-3713. I can also be reached online at scarpero.com. I am licensed in Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan. If you are outside of those areas, I am connected to a group of loan officers called Military Mortgage Boot Camp. And so we have loan officers all over the country that can help you. I look forward to seeing you soon.